Hey, all you beautiful loved ones and friends and family and companions and reflections and teachers for me. I just love you and I thank you and I respect you. And I wanted to show up and share some things about what I've seen lately. And I just gotta really laugh at myself for playing into a lot of things and not realizing a lot of things, and just so grateful to have received some of the reflections and everything that I needed to see, and all the people that did show up and play their part and their roles for me in so many ways, unknowingly maybe. Just gotta thank and praise and celebrate, really, because this has been a crazy story unraveling, and it's taken many shapes and many forms, and switched genres and themes and things, but it was really all leading me home to me, to this unique individual being that's part of the whole and part of the collective of we, and also contains everything, within me, within my whole self. And being able to see these things that I wasn't able to see until I could see it on the outside of me, and really bring it back to me, and become the insider living out, the insider living outward instead of the outsider looking in. I was the insider living out. And so it has turned around a lot of things for me, and especially lately where I've been practicing non-attachment and healthy detachment, and it's just these amazing alchemical windows and portals that we're stepping through right now that have made these realizations and insights possible, by being willing to do the work and show up for it, and just receive stuff, just be receptive to receiving receiving really the truth, or things as they actually are, life as it actually is. um, that that whole picture and that bird's eye view of what it really is, making it a little more impersonal, because I took so many things personally, and that's what really mucked up my view, and colored my lenses, and put certain filters into place that really obscured a lot of things. And I could always see certain things happening on the outside of me, but they were a little more difficult or challenging to see, the dynamic and the relationship that I had with all these different parts of me, and how I would allow or disallow certain aspects of my energy to operate or be seen or be validated, included, or acknowledged and legitimized or allowed to be. And so, wow, just gonna take a sec, because I have downloaded a lot of things over the last couple days, and just seeing through a lot of the distortions and a lot of the mind games that I kept playing along with, and acting out. And I see now, with this opportunity to practice this detachment and this non-attachment through kind of this identity reformation, dissolution, really, disintegration, metamorphosis kind of thing, where life has allowed me some quiet time and some space to be and just observe. And it's been a practice and a play the last couple years, and oh my gosh, I'm seeing so much about that. Like, where in my alchemical practices, I was going back to the past to kind of repair like some things, or to kind of acknowledge and integrate some things and let go of some things, like a lot of things. And kind of getting lost in some of it because like it's connected, the one and the whole, or the one and the all. And so like my own like personal wounds, or you know, like original core wounds and stuff, are related to the core wounds of the collective and the whole, and of that part of our soul that has been like so traumatized and fragmented and all of that. And there is like this other part of ourselves that has never been touched and has never been hurt and has never been harmed and has always been all it is. And that's like the kind of personified or like symbolized by the joy permeating mother, Ananda Mayami, maybe. And yeah, so like that's like the remembrance and the joy and the ecstasy of what we really are, of who we really are, and all of that. And so like the unchanging self, like that, this is never, or just ever existing and never changing, because it is all it is, all it is, all it is. However it is, it's all it is, you know. And like it's hard for us to wrap our minds around that, like in this kind of dimension, in this duality perception, or this polarized experience. Like we're polarized to the extreme and all of that because we're so against or for something. And that's not a wrong thing, but it just like it creates like a lot of distortions and a lot of separation and fragmentation and compartmentalization. And so I've seen a lot of things into that by, just being the witness and willing to be compassionate and empathetic and understanding and loving and just like receptive and surrendering to submit to God's will, to love, to all this is really, because part of me knows the truth about all these things, but then getting lost in this story and the programming and doing my best to navigate through like all of these things and these stories and these projections and these things that we get to play out that have been created through like energetic chords and everything. And it is a trip to see in multi-dimensional ways. And I wanted to share like a couple of my realizations in the last couple days. But I have seen a lot of things, like, because I've been doing like this integration review, and I guess it seems like it's the thing to do during this time of taking a moment to pause and reflect and look at the growth cycles and the things that, you know, have all led up to now, and the harvest that's being harvested or is reaped, what was sown, you know, and grown. And I'm just blown away, like looking at time in certain ways and seeing into how it is like a really huge gift that we gave ourselves to create this little place, so we could see what choices create like certain things, and we wouldn't be able to see that, like how, like kind of how it unfolds and how it happens if we didn't have like this gift of like time. Even though everything exists already and exists simultaneously, it's like, it's so super cool to see it in another way. And to like to experience this this little play. And so, like, yeah, I was just getting some things earlier today when I was with my granddaughter. And I've been nudged to, like, just slow down and let things go and just being that state of being or beingness, And I figure, like, what better time to practice that and to receive that and to be open to that than when I'm with this little innocent, precious spark of light, this little sweet, cute being. This undescribable love, But what better time, like, to, like, enjoy that and to practice that and to appreciate that and everything. But yeah, the last couple days it's been really grindy energy. And so it hasn't been as easy as I thought it should be, like, just to let go and not feel like all this pressure and all of these old programs of things that I feel like I need to do, I have to do, I should do, and it's like absolutely ridiculous, and it's false, and it's really dumb in certain ways. Like, I don't know, it bothers me, like, where it's just not true at all, but why does it have such a hold on me or a charge for me? Or, yeah, what keeps me hooked into, like, those programs and strategies? Right? Yeah, sometimes it's like, okay, well, I guess I don't need to understand, but I just get to observe it and, like, let it go, let it come and let it go. And so, yeah, letting go of certain identities and looking at things that I have overly identified with and certain things that have gotten in my own way and where I've cock-blocked myself in a lot of ways because of certain beliefs or generational or ancestral patterning or, just programming, learned beliefs, strategies. Yeah, all of that kind of stuff, identities, dynamics. Looking into and seeing into a lot more of that stuff. And for myself, personally, seeing that there was this part of me that was so attached to wanting to look good or wanting to seem good enough, look good, look legitimate, look right, look worthy, of course, like, but it really, like, what the underlying thing was virtuous victim. It was virtuous victim programming, because we've all been trained and conditioned in that in certain ways. Like, if you suffer in just the right way, or if you suffer well enough, and we'll give you pats on the back, and there's, like, kind of carrot on the stick, or just like really has to do with poverty and lack programming and victim judgmentality. And it also plays a lot into inferiority and superiority complexes. And so worthiness and worthlessness, and power or force and powerlessness, and abuse of the will force, abuse, like instinct injury, and like that normalized trauma, perpetual suffering, belief in self-destruction, and all of that, all of those kinds of things. And so I'll just let go for a minute, because there's so many ways this could go. But there was a lot of things I saw today, and I was just really amused in a lot of ways. Like, oh my God, I just gotta laugh at myself for playing into certain things. as I've been doing my alchemical work and wanting to like share like just some of my processes and what I'm going through, but also kind of wanting to proselytize and preach and be seen as right at the same time, where that cock blocked me and that silenced like some of my like really true stories. And reviewing some videos like in the last couple days, going back to September 2021, and looking at some things I had shared and some creative projects and some art projects I had been doing back at that time. Yeah, just watching a couple of those and saying, oh my gosh, like, yeah, look at that. And questions I've had for myself and some things that really haven't felt good, and I felt like, oh, I just need to break out of this, but I don't know how. And certain things that have been coming in streams, and just observing and witnessing. And then looking at some archetypal themes. And I like how Elenbaas described it on a podcast I saw the other day. He said, yeah, if you're aware of the themes, you're less likely to go to extremes. And I think that's very true too. If you kind of know what to expect, or know what like it's know what is at play through like the celestial dancing, the celestial patterns and the dances and the conversations at play, it's less likely to impact you unconsciously, because we already know like what areas it's going to affect us at, and we can respond to it more consciously. And that's one of the things that came back to me through watching one of my videos, is like, keep doing what you're doing, just do it more consciously. And because I've judged myself in certain ways, like for like having to, well, like just kind of like feeling that need of I need to explore this a little bit more. I need to understand this a little bit more. Okay, like I'm feeling like I want to choose this, and so I'm not going to judge myself, but I want to be aware of what I am choosing and like what I'm playing into, or why it's coming up right now, like why it's like a slide into of some old pattern, or like some kind of escape mechanism or defense mechanism of some kind. And so instead of judging myself for that, like just kind of going with it, looking into it, or like just being aware of it while it's happening, and accepting like that I'm choosing this, and like let's just like see what I'm being offered here, because it is a gift. Like if everything is love, and all roads lead to home, and all paths lead to the summit, and like all these things like are connected, and we're all part of the same thing, and we're all part of love, and it's like God experiencing love like through all these parts of itself, and through like all of these diverse beautiful expressions of consciousness and things. Like, why should anything that like I actually do like be like wrong and not like a part of that? Like, really, like, just like get over yourself, get through yourself, and just laugh at yourself like for taking yourself so seriously. And so a lot of that, like, I've seen into like the spiritual ego and the super ego, and some of these rigid beliefs of what I couldn't be, like by kind of like just wanting to explore the shadow and accept the shadow and welcome her home and integrate all those parts of myself that I rejected and denied. And it's like really kind of sometimes hard to see it on the outside and not want to like outright reject it, knee-jerk reaction, and justify like why, like, but like if I can choose to look inside and or like just be willing like to see what I need to see about it, if there's a charge about it, or if there's something that's like pulling my attention or hooking my attention, or kind of, I don't really know. Possessing a part of my soul or something. Yeah, like what is that about, and what can I see about it, or what do I know that I can allow myself to see about it, and those kinds of things, like without having to judge myself as being wrong, or the thing as being wrong, or anything, just for more clear understanding and orientation and integration, and all of those things, like to take accountability and to love all of me, to claim my power that I was giving away or afraid to claim and own and emanate and allow to flow through me. And so I've seen a lot about those fears, and the art projects that I did a couple weeks ago have helped me like kind of see some of those things. And I did share a couple of videos with some of those art boards, 2 of them, but there are 2 more that I didn't share, and I've been looking into those the last couple weeks, and I've debated about doing a little video about them for the last 2 weeks or so, and just haven't found like the right time to kind of just show up for that. But been looking at them and seeing certain messages and what they mean to me, and what my soul is trying to, or like giving me or offering me, so I could see. And so the best of the best things too yesterday, when I looked into the old video from September 21st, I believe it was, and it was me sharing about my ScapeCoat that I had almost completed at that time, and I had shared with a circle of sisters, of friends that had come for an autumn equinox circle. And at that time, like, there was some things that were like becoming like really, really crystal clear for me, and very illuminated, and just really felt really good and sweet. And then like there were certain dynamics that played out in that circle, like that I really wasn't aware of until like afterwards. And then everybody had like their own experience with certain fears coming up for them, or certain shadow aspects coming up for them. And then they they projected them onto others. And then there was some weird stuff going on back then that made me second guess myself, and second guess what I had been letting into my own space, and how I had been directing my energy. And it kind of like clamped me off in a little bit, in certain ways. And I realized how like I put some overlays and started bypassing like certain things, because I started to distrust like my own perception and my own self in certain things, and taking on responsibilities again that were not actually mine, but like it played into certain agendas of wanting to be right, and wanting to be seen as good and worthy and all right, and then like the people pleasing thing, and the martyr, and all of those things. And so it's really good for me to see like certain things, and remember and refresh, and also like receive the things that I was sharing last year. And going back a little bit ago too, to February of 2021, I could see how I was surrendering and just kind of letting love and wisdom flow through me, but also how I had certain agendas and like certain things that weren't being acknowledged, because I had done like some private videos that I didn't share, And I watched them today and I saw, oh, I can see like where I was playing into certain self-deceptions. But the only way that I got that was because I had watched like the September videos where I had shared something from Dream Body by Arnold Mindell. And he was talking about secondary processes. And it's like, so say there's a situation and there's a feeling that comes up like jealousy or pride or, you know, one of those kinds of feelings, or anger, one of those difficult feelings that we're not supposed to feel because that's bad. You know, it's not a good feeling, and it's not like, yeah, we're told we're wrong for feeling that way and all those things. And that just leads to destruction and stuff. But really, like, we need to feel those things when those things are coming up. It's just what we do with them, or how we allow them or disallow them, or how we allow them to be expressed through us. And that's really what it is. And so it just it makes a whole lot of sense of what's going on right now, where there are certain teachings that encourage suppressing those feelings because they judge them as negative and as wrong and everything. But it's not like inherently, like, those feelings are not negative. They're just showing us like different expressions, different energies, different um, expressions of consciousness, like, really, that are like legitimate and all of that. It's just like how we've been taught to see them, and once we see them, like, we judge them as wrong. We tell ourselves we're wrong for feeling the way that we do. And so then there's like a secondary process that we go through, and sometimes we bypass the initial feeling of fear, jealousy, pride, guilt, or whatever it is, and it kind of spirals into its own thing, and it creates a complex. And so kind of just like looking at some of those things, and I saw how I was playing into self-deception, like, and not even knowing it because it's an unconscious thing. And so making the darkness conscious, and becoming aware of it, becoming aware of like these other strategies, like the agenda behind the agenda, or the emotion behind the emotion, and the story behind the story. Yeah, and the thought behind the thought, or like even deeper than that, like beyond the beyond. Like the observer that's observing all of this, and then seeing how I identified with like certain things so much, and how I kind of got lost in the abyss, like, because I wanted to understand so much this degeneration of consciousness, and like what I was so angry about, what I saw like out in the world that was so wrong. Yeah, it, oh my gosh, I can totally understand like how, like, looking into all of that stuff, must be careful and mindful and cut certain cords after looking into certain things, or looking at the dark. And because we can start to vibrate on those same frequencies, and then draw like certain things to us, and then like feed certain aspects, and then get like more lost in certain stories and identities and things. And so I realized, yeah, like one of my survival strategies, like, oh my god, like, kind of got a little bit more wrapped up in it, like the need to be seen as good, the need to be seen as right, the need to be the need to prove or convince someone that I was right, instead of just like expressing myself from my own light. So like, yeah, going back and reviewing some of these videos, it's really interesting to see like the things that my personality and my ego was going through at certain times, and got to see through like so many different layers and masks and personas and strategies and defenses like through doing like just this speaking and talking and sharing. And got to receive a lot of wisdom too, but just got to look at myself, or look into myself more deeply, just through offering like these, streamings and whatnot, like just processings, like the psychic processing, psychological processing of these things, this alchemy. And so, yeah, even if I was like kind of bullshitting myself and like deceiving myself, I could always receive something from that, and I can see like more into like why I was doing it, or the story that I was, it gave me something, or the archetype that was at play. It gave me something to see, like, and all of it was valuable, and all of it helps me to know me. So super grateful. And like, even though like there has been this like super ego judge that's been at play for me, and I kind of like, it's like that pendulum swing of all or nothing in a lot of ways sometimes. Superficial judgments on what I value, or what I think other people will value, with how clear it is, or how shiny it is, or all those kinds of things, when really in the most mundane or like artificial thing, like if it's coming from me or coming through me, like there's something for me to see about like the patterns in my own energy, where it's been directed and how it's being reflected or projected. And so yeah, it's been a fun process like in those ways. And I see a lot more into like how self-doubt, and like the need for security, and the need to be seen as right, and the need to be seen as good, and playing into that virtuous victim mentality and programming. Like, wow, that was like the biggest thing. And so some of these things are unraveling as I've been detached and not attached to seeing myself as one way. Like, I don't have to be attached to that goodness or that righteousness or that virtuousness anymore, because I know that's like a total sham. And I've always kind of felt like a little bit resentful that, like, come on now, like, let's be authentic. And there is no separation between the spiritual and the material. And we're all being fake if we're not making room to have like a little bit of salt and pepper swear words in our conversations and stuff. Like, like we, like clenching our butt cheeks while trying to take a dump, okay? And then we like dump it all over somebody else, like a projectile vomited on somebody else, like, and that's like how the shadow like kind of operates in a lot of ways, like, and so what kind of helped me to see that was the last couple of months, like something's been coming in for me. Like, I had made a board, and there's like this little kid who is he's folding his arms, and he's closing his eyes, and it's like they're all praying or whatnot. But it like reminded me of my own childhood, of my upbringing in my family's religion, in the Mormon church, and like how we were taught to be reverent, and how we were taught to speak with God and pray with God and connect with God. And it was so rigid. It was like, hold yourself in really tight because you're not worthy. And it was like, you have to prove yourself. You have to prove that you are worthy to receive this love, because you're not worthy of it, and you have to earn that love, and you have to prove that you are. And so you have to hold yourself really tight and try really hard and make so many efforts, and maybe then it won't even work for you. And like, you have to constantly strive and all of those things, like, because you're so unworthy, like, and it was so conflicting for me as a child, like, because I felt so much ecstatic love and joy and wonder for the divine and for the life all around me, and for just the light. And like, everything. I felt so compassionate in it, and I over-identified, and I took everything so personally, and I was so sensitive, so hypersensitive, and so I really, to protect myself, had to shut a lot of stuff down and close myself up to a lot of stuff, close my mind, my blind, um, my third eye. It was so painful. My feelings, that was too much for me, because all of the things through my own wounding would seep in, and it would just overwhelm me so much, and I thought all of it was mine, and all the things, all of the pain in the world was mine to carry, and it was somehow my fault, and I was wrong, and so it was like this martyr miser dancing song, where I would withhold from myself and I would give to everyone else, but then actually the thing that I wasn't seeing was how I withheld a lot at other times from the people that I loved the most, in passive aggressive ways, or in kind of manipulative ways. So it was a lot of manipulation and self-deception, and ego-based defensive strategies. And there's a ton of stuff that I could share from the last week from my journal, that gives a lot more clarity and a lot more substance to chew on, and examples and personal things that I've seen, and but I just wanted to mention some of those things that I've been seeing as I've been slowly extricating myself away from this old identity of this virtuous victim that I didn't even see. In a lot of ways, there was a lot about the victim judge consciousness that I was seeing and how I was playing into it, but I didn't really see to the extent that I am able to see now, about where it relates to my core wounding, of believing that I wasn't worthy and I was worthless and powerless. And so I think I will just leave that here. With all of that, and expand on some of that in a little while, because there is so many more threads to follow, and it does all interrelate and connect to all the things that are unraveling through this amazing square of letting go of old beliefs, that's been happening from the 4th through the 6th. It's, Uranus and Saturn and their square. This is the fourth time here, and so it's not only is 3rd time a charm, but 4th time, oh my gosh, just to make sure you get it, and just all the things that are happening that are exactly for our own benefit and our own personal circumstances and personal realities, that are all playing out right now. It's really interesting and fascinating to kind of get into and look into, with this archetypal play, with all these things going on. And it's kind of metaphorical and metamorphical, metaphorical, metamorph, shape-shifting, kind of all of these things, reformation in a lot of ways. And so, wow, just gotta let go of all these old things of how what this is supposed to be, or who I'm supposed to be, or how I'm supposed to appear or seem, and know that this is a huge thing where I've seen how significant, like, all these little changes that we make within ourselves, like how it does ripple out. And yeah, because it's not just our own shadow that we're purifying and integrating into the light or making conscious. And it's also like the collective shadow that's affected in our own, like, familial and our cultural, all those things, ancestral. And so, yeah, just wow. It's a lot lighter. It feels a lot lighter than it did a couple weeks ago, really. And the funny thing is, though, too, like, I've been feeling the last couple days, like, holy shit, like, this feels like a grand shit show, like, and I was like, I just feel way more crazier than I used to, and way more unclear. And that was just kind of a trick, because it was like, just becoming aware of all of the blah 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 fucking blah programming in the background, and seeing, like, where, like, I've been hooked and pulled and baited into that, and overly identifying with some of the aspects that I had looked into, especially in the last couple years, because I was, like, so in it and energetically invested into it with that agenda of wanting to prove myself as right. And so I had, like, attached so many so much of myself into, like, finding out what that was all about. But and then seeing how it was playing out in my own life, or observing, like, certain things, how it wasn't working me, and how it was more constricting and restricting of my energy. Yeah. And why I felt so exhausted lately, and, like, what the inner conflict and that contradictory energy kept doing on the pendulum, and swinging back and forth. And so, yeah, I have a little more clarity about, like, all those things, and how I really have been, like, a little bit play acting, but and kind of aware of that, but just feeling like that social anxiety, like, okay, to show up as I am, like, I don't know, like, really, because I don't. And just, like, being okay with that, and letting it be revealed to me, and not having to be anything for anyone, or for even, like, what I want to be. And just, like, kind of remembering that, and seeing into, like, all of these messages and all of these things that come to me when I just get to receive them, like that audience capture video from after school that I shared the last couple times in my videos. Like, what I got from that was huge, and it was only a 7-minute video, like, but there's things I needed to see in that to help me kind of make it more clear, like, this mechanism that has been at play. And The Curse of Being Good, or The Curse of Goodness, by Adam Elenbaas. Yeah, that was, like, amazing. I needed that. Like, I really did need that. Because, yeah, even though I knew that was one of my old strategies, I didn't know, like, that was, like, my dominant or my core desire, like, my fear desire of not, like, being good, and, like, yeah, all those unconscious places, or those blind spots of where I kept playing into that and reinforcing that, and why I was still in that loop and creating certain things. So it's good to see that, and let certain things fall away and shed away. And a lot of other things that have been at play too, like in the last couple of years. And I have, like, some soul collage cards behind me. And this second one here that's black and white, that's my good girl and my wild child. And she gave me a lot of insights a few years ago. That was one of the first soul collage cards I made for myself, but I even see even more about that now. And so maybe I'll share a little bit about that next time. because that's been coming up again too, like in a lot of ways, like so many things, like from the last 20 years, like 15, 13, 12, 10, 7, 5, 3, all so like just all of the things like in this cyclic periods of growth and manifesting and unraveling and letting go, alchemizing certain things, transforming and changing, like have all been coming in like a row, or just like so I'm just enjoying like seeing a lot of these things that are coming up, and that's my cue. And so thank you for listening. And I'm curious too, like if anybody out there, anybody listening, you're going through your own insights, your own things and realizations, and what's going on in your healing process, and what are you aware of, and who are you now, who are you right now, and who are you becoming, all those things, because like it's such a great time to reflect and review and see how far we've come, and celebrate like all of the new, really, and let all of those old things like go, that like regret and that shame and that guilt, and just like all just feel that gratitude and gratefulness, for the grief, and like all the joy, and for all this healing, and for all that's being unified and coming together again as one. So love y'all, talk to you soon. Hey, bye for now.